You know Gray Bar for electrical parts, but there's one more thing you may not be thinking of us for that can help maximize your next project's total value. Our pre-project planning services are designed to help you win the bid, save on labor costs, and keep your installers productive across your entire build. The sooner you call us, the better. Because when we're there from the beginning, we can anticipate your needs and help you solve problems before they become problems. Yep, Gray Bar does that.
Welcome into the latest episode of the Show Before the Show podcast, the official podcast of Minor League Baseball, episode 498. Holy cow. Tyler Mon, Sam Dykstra, Benjamin Hill. Gents, what's going on? How are you?
We're good. Yeah, no, it's officially a week into the minor league season, right? Like teams are on their second series now, or if they're in AAA, they're on their third series now. We're seeing guys get plate appearances and season debuts, and there's actual real games to talk about and talk to players at, and that's a tease for an interview I'll be doing later. But it's just nice that baseball is actually happening. We're seeing like the Portland Sea Dogs had a snow opening day. There was snow up in Portland, Maine on their actual opening day. So there's still some, it doesn't fully feel like summer yet, but we're getting there. We are certainly getting there.
Ben, what's going on? How are things your way?
Man, so much has been going on lately. A lot that's too complicated to get into, but a lot is coming. I'm working on getting my road trip schedules together a little belatedly. I can tell you that I'm going to Reading to start the season, although at this exact moment in time, I'm a little unclear which exact date it's going to be, but it's going to be in just about a week, next weekend at some point. Either the 18th or the 19th. So I'm getting that. Then I have some full itineraries starting within weeks of that. Cranking out the newsletter, compiling all the promos, trying to keep abreast of, crooked numbers, the weird things that happen in minor league baseball, trying to figure out the entirety of my life, career, and general purpose here on Earth.
As we all are, I get it. Especially as we approach a big round number of the Show Before the Show podcast. We all take stock of where we sit on this mortal coil. Episode 498. We got some fun stuff coming up for you this summer. We're going to be really excited on episode 500 to reminisce on a decade of talking to you through your AirPods or your I don't know, your smart speakers or wherever you tune into the Show Before the Show. But before we get to all that, we do have a jam-packed episode on this week's edition of the podcast, and we thank you for tuning in. You can get in touch with us, of course, podcast@milb.com, and send us your questions, your thoughts about the minor league baseball season so far. Ben, this is obviously the first couple weeks of the season are when you're nailing down, where you're headed, when you're headed places, but also just following all of the things that have kicked off in the early stages of the minor league season. And we've talked, from year to year about how April's kind of weird sometimes. Kids are still in school. Weather can be a little bit iffy, as Sam noted a moment ago. Portland had snow last week. But give us the early Ben's Biz takeaways from how things look from your vantage point right now.
Yeah, it's definitely, it's firing it up. For some reason, I think of what is it called? Like a calliope? Is that the thing, like the circus music, like the kind of organ? I just think of like an old rusty merry-go-round that works, and it starts turning around, and that kind of organ music starts to crank, and at first it sounds a little out of tune and a little warbly, and then you just keep going around and around, and it starts to move faster, and the music sounds clearer and clearer. Then it kind of bursts eventually into a big like kaleidoscopic hallucinogenic dreamscape of colors, sights, and sounds. But right now we're still cranking up the machine. I think that's how I feel.
That sounds amazing, and it's a lot more vivid than I was expecting. Well, tell us about, we've got a conversation right out of the gate this week. We've got 2 interviews, a multi-interview episode of the Show Before the Show, and a place that we are fond of visiting, at least in the virtual sense, and hopefully someday in the physical sense. It'd be cool to get all 3 of us together in Winston-Salem, North Carolina. But the Winston-Salem Dash a subject franchise for this week's episode.
Yeah, and I need to set this up a little bit because I believe in the interview with Brian DeAngelis, Winston-Salem Dash general manager and president. We just kind of went right into it. I don't think I set it up like a proper podcast interview. So it's a bit of a convoluted backstory, but stay with me. I think everyone will get it. But the Winston-Salem Dash were scheduled to open their season on the road against the Rome Emperors, the home Emperors, as it were. Yeah,
That works in that context.
Yeah, the
opening
home
on the
Emperor.
road against the home Emperors.
Yeah, exactly. The Rome Emperors for a 3-game homestand just to start the season, April 4th through the 6th. Then, just days before opening day, a pipe burst at Advent Health Stadium, the home of the Rome Emperors. This pipe burst, which flooded the home clubhouse, caused significant water damage, and the team determined we can't play our home opener at this ballpark till we clean up all this, from this unexpected flooding from this pipe burst. So the Rome Emperors call the Winston-Salem Dash and they say, guys, and it was April 1st, by the way. It was April Fool's Day. Would you be willing to host those first 3 games because our ballpark is unplayable? And the Dash said, well, yeah, we can do it. And so that's a mad scramble. The Dash are already preparing for their own home opener on what was Tuesday, April 8th. And now all of a sudden they have 3 games to host with 36 hours notice. And not just that, they do a lot of non-game day events at the ballpark, and they had a full slate of non-game events scheduled for that weekend. And then all of a sudden they had 3 games to host due to this pipe burst in Rome. And one of the things that the Winston-Salem Dash had scheduled at Truist Stadium on April 4th, which was supposed to be a day when the team was on the road, was a prom. So all of a sudden they have a ballpark prom scheduled, and now all of a sudden they're hosting a game. So Friday, April 4th, prom wasn't built in a day in Winston-Salem. That's how they branded it. They had an in-game prom. And I talked all about it to Brian DeAngelis, the president and general manager of the Winston-Salem Dash. So you got all that set up? It's a little complicated. I think we're going to get right into it in this conversation. Everyone will understand everything. Let's go.
This episode is brought to you by Subaru. Go further in a long-range Subaru hybrid with up to 597 miles per tank in the Crosstrek hybrid and up to 581 miles per tank in the Forester hybrid. Subaru. Love goes the extra mile. Visit Subaru.com/hybrid to learn more. Range based on EPA estimated combined fuel economy and a full tank of fuel. Actual mileage and range may vary.
All right, so we're talking on a Monday. The Winston-Salem Dash real home opener, quote unquote, real home opener is tomorrow on Tuesday, but you've already hosted games at the stadium. You already hosted a prom. You hosted a prom and a game at the same time. This is a lot to break down. So let's start first with there was a ballpark pipe burst in Rome, and you guys were supposed to be the away team, obviously. When did you first hear about that? What were those discussions like?
So I got the call Wednesday night, and it was kind of like we don't really know what's going on. We're not sure what's happening. There was a few on-field issues that they seemed to get resolved, but a pipe burst. And I kind of, by the way, this was on April Fool's, and I get this call, and it's like, pipe burst. We might have to relocate to your stadium. And for 1 second, like, this could be a joke. And then I saw a video of their clubhouse underwater. I'm like, okay, it's not a joke. So now what? And, as most people I think forget, and maybe, people listening to your show know this, but most people forget how many events we do that are not baseball. We actually do more non-baseball events than baseball games. And so, of course, we had a prom scheduled Friday night. We had a prom scheduled Saturday night. And then we had a 50th wedding anniversary and also a 5-year-old birthday party on Sunday. So when I'm asked to relocate the games, of course, all those things come up. It's like, well, how do we do this? And, for the Friday night game, the first thing we started thinking about is like, well, we can't move a prom. I mean, this is the biggest event for these kids in their lives. Like, there's no chance we can move the prom. And doing a Friday day game is not really a great option either. I mean, you want to make a little bit of money, and whatever lemonade you can, I guess, out of the lemons were dealt. So we said, hey, let's just do it all at once. Let's have the prom and let's have a game. And that's kind of where it started. But we had to get our crew together to start brainstorming in 24 or really 36 hours, I guess it was.
Yeah, so many moving parts to figure out. But okay, it's official. You're going to host Rome in their home opener in Winston-Salem. But then you've got to, I assume, talk to the school that was hosting the prom. How did you negotiate with them, saying like, okay, you can still do this, but we're also going to have a ball game?
So obviously that phone call was kind of what everybody was dreading. We wanted to have somewhat of a plan before we really reached out and said, hey, the thing you guys have been planning for a year, it's not really going to go the way you thought. So we reached out to the principal first of Davie Early College Prep School and said, hey, your prom's the Friday night prom. Fortunately, it's all on the club level. We think that we can keep these two events separate, but they are going to happen at the same time. And so the idea, I actually have a group chat of a lot of former minor league baseball employees. And anytime I get in jam or I'm looking at a New Jersey concept, I throw it in the group chat. And the idea actually of prom wasn't built in a day came right out of that group chat. And so I approached the principal and said, hey, here's the idea. Let's have your prom as if nothing's changed, but can we have the baseball game be prom themed? And we want to incorporate you guys as much as you would like. And I'm just gauging appetite on the first call. And basically it was a resounding like, yes, we get it. We understand, we'll make whatever happen, need to happen. That's fine. And so I said, well, great. If you're open-minded about this, then I'm going to take this all the way I can, make this a real theme. So the first thing we did was we said, can we crown the king and queen on field during the game? And that sounds like it's a great idea, whatever, but there's a lot of logistics behind that. Like when, right? What time? Because the prom's running on time of day. We're running an inning. So it's kind of hard to coordinate when to get them down and not waste their whole prom night. The second part is we wanted to do a reverse t-shirt toss. So we actually have a sponsor, Daggett Law Firm here, sponsors all of our proms, and they give out t-shirts to the prom. So we said, why don't we have the fans throw it to those that are attending the prom? And so we just kind of stopped the game and had them turn around and launch them up top to that as well. Of course, we had videos that was the all-time prom moments like Back to the Future and Grease. And then we had our mascot down there dancing with their prom date. And we even invited everyone out that was a former homecoming or prom king or queen. They got into the game free. So we actually did have some fans dress up in their tuxes and dresses that came out as well. So everybody kind of bought in and, we welcomed and actually a pretty large crowd for a Friday night that was announced in 36 hours that was really invested into that game and kind of got what was going on. So overall, it was a huge success for us.
And the prom king and queen, they were out there on the field like during the game or after the game. How did that work?
It was during the game, and so we weren't sure. That we kind of had to be fluid with our entertainment because we didn't really know when they were going to announce or when we would be in the game. So it ended up working out that it was during the game. So we did in between inning and got them down there, put them on the video board, and the whole crowd cheered for them and congratulated them. And all the students kind of stepped outside onto the 200 level and looked down to see this happen on field too. So I mean, it ended up being an incredible moment, something that honestly I think I'm biased here because we're sitting here talking about minor league baseball, but if that was my prom, that would have been the coolest prom experience that I've ever even heard of.
Yeah, I mean, it's an amazing thing, and I'd like to think that these kids, it worked out better for them that there was a baseball game and made it even more memorable. But then there's also just the basic logistics and ballpark infrastructure of just running a game, period, let alone a prom. Just all the staffing that has to go into a baseball game and the ticketing and the promotions. And in the meantime, you're planning your actual home opener for just a few days away. I mean, how did you balance all that?
Yeah, so there's two sides of this, right? One's the team, and I got to worry about the team's workout schedule and how they're going to approach this now that their plans changed and getting Rome here. Finding a hotel was a challenge. Our team hotel was booked. Staffing, as you mentioned, I mean that's something that everybody had their last weekend before the season planned out. So it was very difficult to get these people, to work and in the park and get us up and operating. And of course, now you look at opening a concession stand. Do we have our permits pulled? Do we have staffing for there? Do we have enough food in the building? And so by the time we opened, we actually only had 4 kegs of Michelob Ultra, which for any ballpark operator knows that's nowhere near enough, but that's just what we had on hand. So all those things turning around so quickly was a huge challenge. But, our staff really stepped up, and to Rome's credit, they sent some people up here as well. We didn't have any grounds crew that was scheduled for that weekend, so they brought their groundskeepers up, and they actually worked the game with us. And funny enough, David Lane, who's the GM in Rome down there, I was just a little bit short, and he ended up operating our team store. And so he was slinging jerseys and everything for us, which was great. And it actually gave us a unique opportunity as well because we were still the away team. And this is the first year we were unveiling our new road jerseys. So we had to wear our road jerseys at home And there was about 3 times that I'm aware of where something happened, and one of them that would happen to me was a home run was hit, and I'm calling our sponsorship team because we have a home run counter in the game, and I'm saying, guys, let's go get that up there, get that up, or we just hit a home run. And they're like, dude, we're gray today. And I was like, oh yeah, forgot that was Rome that just hit a home run. I was like, so just adjusting to that, and even the entertainment script, you can't run off the field at certain times because your team's coming in out of the dugout. Well, when we switch and all of a sudden, we're batting first, we're not in the field, the whole game script changes. So now it's like, when do you do X, Y, and Z? We were going to use our normal script, but you couldn't do that either. And so at the very end of this whole thing, I was like, let's just cap this thing off right and do a big thank you and send off, because the team had to adjust, the school had to adjust, everyone. So we got game balls that were used from that game. We collected them all, and we wrote "Prom wasn't built in a day" on it. And then I signed it, and we had the manager and a couple players come up and present all the kids with the team signed jersey, as well as every kid left with an autographed ball. And got pictures with some of the players and managers and everything. And I can say at least 50% of that prom was extremely excited. The players came upstairs and was joining them for photos. And once the girls got all their photos, the guys kind of shook hands and took their baseball, and I think capped off the night well.
Yeah, that's awesome. And then you said you had other events throughout the weekend that were just going to be non-game day events as well.
That's right. So the easiest one was really yesterday on Sunday, just because they were birthday parties of a 5-year-old. I mean, what's better than just a couple pro baseball players showing up to play a game at birthday party? So that one went really well. And then, of course, we had the wedding anniversary. They couldn't have been better sports about it either. Just a free baseball game on top of their event. That was the whole club level rent. And the biggest one that we had was Saturday. Reagan High School hosts their prom. That's one of the largest high schools in our area. There's about 1,000 kids that attend that prom every year. And so on Friday, we had to spend most of the day setting up as much as we could, because Saturday we played a 1 o'clock game. So we didn't have much time for setup. As soon as that game ended, all the lifts came out, all the trucks, chairs, tablecloths, you name it, came out. We had to turn the entire building over to host that 1,000-person prom at 7 o'clock. So the game ended at around 4, I want to say. And so we had less than 3 hours to set up an entire 1,000-person prom, and they go all out. I mean, every single table is covered in linen and table setting and balloons. My wife was in there blowing up balloons to get it off the ground in time, and the Rome guys were there helping us as well, of course. So it was just all hands, full team effort, but we made it happen. And my next door neighbor had a kid that actually went to that prom, and they said they loved it. So all in all, a success for everybody.
So you've gone through all this over just this past weekend, and now tomorrow, Tuesday, April 8th is your actual home opener. So how are you feeling about that? Does it feel kind of anticlimactic after all this, or do you just feel like, hey, I'm rolling now, let's go?
It kind of does, yeah. It's almost like we hosted the spring training game against Kannapolis too. So at this point, we've really played 4 games. I feel like our staff in the building is really rolling by the time we hit opening day. Whereas most opening days is like, oh, we forgot to check the whatever, it didn't turn on, or there's no soap in the bathroom. All that stuff you got to get out of the way, and we kind of handled that. So yeah, I don't want it to take anything away from an opening day, because obviously the crowd was not what we expected when we had 36 hours to sell tickets. So our opening day, when the stadium's actually full and bumping and the promos are going as planned and we're on the home side, not having to adjust our entertainment, yeah, I think it's going to all hit. We do so much media that day. It's going to feel like a proper opening day. But if anything, I think we just had a little training wheel session here for 4 games, and we're rocking and rolling right now.
Yeah, and then I guess just close with this, that this whole saga just seems very minor league baseball, and you've been in minor league baseball for a long time. Does this rank up there in your personally in your career for a very strange set of circumstances that you always remember?
I'm trying to think what rivals this, Ben, and there's so many promos we did that were fun or unique or different, or things we turned around so quickly. And who can ever forget playing like taxi league game or taxi squad games in COVID? That up there is one of the most bizarre times of my life. But in terms of just turning around a game, the way that this all happened, and then afterwards, the way it actually was a success, I'd probably have to put it up there in the top 1, 2, or 3. I mean, it was just so much so fast. And it's really when you can figure out, like, when I tell people like, hey, it's just minor league baseball, if you're in it, you know what that means. If you're not, you don't. But this is just minor league baseball, where like we actually did that. I mean, it was just no time, no notice, and everything happened as if no one knew it wasn't supposed to. So yeah, I think this is up there for me, and I'll look back on it, I think. And once I see like a proper video made of this and just get to soak it in kind of externally, I think it might even be number one. But yeah, that's what we do. And again, credit to our staff and Rome staff who chipped in, and really the players and fans that supported it. It was a full team effort. So excited it's past us for sure, and we can properly open on Tuesday. But this was a good one.
Well, I'm sure you've got a million more things on your checklist until opening day number 2, the real opening day tomorrow. So I'll let you go, but I really appreciate you taking the time and sharing this quintessential only in minor league baseball story.
Appreciate it, Ben. Good to talk to you.
I get so many headaches every month.
It could be chronic migraine, 15 or more headache days a month, each lasting 4 hours or more.
Botox, onabotulinum toxin A, prevents headaches in adults with chronic migraine. It's not for those who have 14 or fewer headache days a month. Prescription Botox is injected by your doctor. Effects of Botox may spread hours to weeks after injection, causing serious symptoms. Alert your doctor right away, as difficulty swallowing, speaking, breathing, eye problems, or muscle weakness can be signs of a life-threatening condition. Patients with these conditions before injection are at highest risk. Side effects may include allergic reactions, neck and injection site pain, fatigue, and headache. Allergic reactions can include rash, welts, asthma symptoms, and dizziness. Don't receive Botox if there's a skin infection. Tell your doctor your medical history, muscle or nerve conditions, including ALS, Lou Gehrig's disease, myasthenia gravis, or Lambert-Eaton syndrome, and medications, including botulinum toxins, as these may increase the risk of serious side effects.
Why wait? Ask your doctor. Visit BotoxChronicMigraine.com or call 1-800-44-BOTOX to learn more.
Thanks to Ben for providing that interview from the Dash. Now we're going to stay at the high A level, and we're going to go to, is Winston-Salem high A? Now that I'm thinking. Yeah, Kannapolis is single A.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. 3, 2, 1. Thanks to Ben for providing that interview with Winston-Salem. Now we're going to stay at the high A level and a little closer to home. And by that, I mean extremely close to home for Ben and I. It is with the Brooklyn Cyclones. I got to go to their game on Wednesday. It was a noontime start, extremely cold as you would expect for Brooklyn baseball in early April, but they got in the game against the Hudson Valley Renegades. So it was a little bit of a crosstown rivalry between Mets prospects and Yankees prospects. It was a very fun one. Got to see the professional debuts of Ben Hess and Jonathan Santucci, two picks from last year's draft out of the college ranks for the Yankees and the Mets. Both of those guys did pretty well. Ben Hess especially did well for the Renegades. But after the game, I got to speak with Mets prospect Chris Suero. And if you haven't heard of Chris Suero's story, it's a very interesting one. He's a native of the Bronx, so this is somebody who's signed with a New York organization. We get into that a little bit. But he gets to play in Brooklyn. His family goes to a lot of games. They make that trek from the Bronx all the way to the bottom of Brooklyn to cheer him on. His dad, I believe, was at the game on Wednesday, but his mother was not. She was out of town. But apparently when the whole family's there, you can hear him all across Coney Island. It's very fun to hear that. But he's also a fascinating prospect. He is a catcher by trade, technically, but he's a plus runner, which is not something you expect for somebody who dons the tools of ignorance. That allows him to play some left field. That allows him to play first base. He's extremely athletic. The Mets love the guy. He's now ranked in the Mets top 30. So there's just a lot of factors that make Chris Suero such a fascinating prospect and overall player for the Brooklyn Cyclones. I caught up with him on Wednesday.
All right, Chris, let's just start. You're catching Santucci's debut today. What did you see out of him?
I saw a lot of consistency. He couldn't really pick up a little bit on his fastball today. Wasn't really feeling it, but he was definitely recompensated with the slider. So he got that going, and I feel like it was a very good outing.
Was that something you guys realized in the bullpen, that the fastball wasn't feeling it, or is that something that came along as the game was going on?
Yeah, I think it just came along as the game was going. In the bullpen, it wasn't the way it was in the game, but I feel like it just throughout maybe the cold, the adrenaline and stuff, probably he wasn't feeling the fastball as much as he did in the bullpen. So we just picked up on that, and we felt like we could rely more on the slider.
You also had a front row seat to Serrano's 2 outfield assists. What is it like being on the receiving end of those as you see them coming in, knowing you're going to have to make the quick tag?
I just always try to make the catch first. I can't make it out without the catch, but that guy, he's got a missile, so it's nice just looking at it and watching that and just being a part of that beautiful moment and being able to just help him out, get him that assist. And I just try to do the best I can.
And then offensively, you added the double late. that's now a 5-game hitting streak for you. I think 6 of your first 8 hits have been for extra bases. What have you been working on offensively so far this year?
I've just been working on just trying to stay up the middle, drive the ball, and I'm just trusting my process like I did. I've said this before, and I'll say it again. I just trust my process in the cages, in the cage work, practice, and then in the game, I just let everything just come along and just trust it.
How do you describe what your process is then?
Just what we work on in the cage. Every drill that we work on, just try to just emphasize on every drill that I work on, and just with intent, and being just like I said in the game, then just let it fly.
How do you feel like you're a different hitter than now compared to where you were 12 months ago?
I think I'm very more mature. I want to cut down a little bit more on the swing and miss rate and the chase. But other than that, I feel great where I'm at, and there's no complaints.
Yeah, and defensively, you played catcher today, you played left field, you played first base. What is it like to move around that much?
It's amazing. It's great, and I love it. Just being that I can help the team out any way I can, and it's definitely fun. Just being that it's infield, outfield, and catching. So it's 3 different things, and just getting the best of everything and the best of both worlds. Catching, like I said, catching is very difficult. So just being that those days that I am catching, I try to just focus more on the defensive part because I want to help my team win. So without a good catcher, it's hard to win ball games. So I just worry about the defense first and then hitting. And then when it's first and left, I just have some fun and just go out there.
Yeah, so does that mean you're not even hitting in a cage on a catching day, or what do you mean you're focused on the defense first?
No, I'm definitely hitting the cage, but I'm more worried about what I got to talk to the pitcher, the game plan with the pitcher, game plan of the other side's hitters, and just like whatever happens offensively, I can't really control. I got to control what I can do mentally behind the plate. So that's kind of what I mean by just focusing more on the defensive side.
Yeah, and how much do you even have to read like pitching reports, even on days when you're in left or first, like just to keep up to date on what guys are throwing and working with the staff?
Yeah, I feel like that's kind of the hard part about it when I'm catching, being that I got to do it on the defensive side and offensive side. But just those days that I'm first and left, I just focus on my offense, just get that going. But when I am catching, I gotta read their pitcher, I gotta read their hitters, I gotta read our pitcher, so it's a little bit tough.
Yeah, that's a lot to balance. I mean, when the Mets first signed you, how much catching experience did you have?
Not much. When I first got signed, I probably had, I'd say, about a little bit over a year. So it was just, I feel like just after I signed is when I really became the type of player that I am today.
Yeah, what discussions did they have with you then about like, hey, this is the path forward for you is behind the plate?
I just felt like it was more opportunity back there. And being that I'm the athlete that I am, thank God, I just try to just work there and just take it how it comes, to be honest.
Yeah, and what was that signing process like for you? Because you are a guy from the Bronx, but you got signed technically out of the DR. How did that all come together?
Yes, it's very tough being that I'm from the East Coast. We don't get the same exposure. Being that we're in the cold, we get underestimated a lot. So I just decided I have I'm blessed enough to have Dominican parents, so I took advantage of that, and I just took my chances and I went down to DR and got signed over there.
How long did you have to be down there? Like, when did you actually move from the Bronx to the DR?
It was a bit tough. I went down when I was turning 16, but being that COVID hit, it kind of delayed the process a little bit more. So I was down there roughly about 2.5 years before I got signed.
Were you staying with uncles, aunts, and who were you staying with down there?
I was alone, but thanks to my beautiful mother, I love her so much. She made it easier for me. She got me a place to stay. She went down after like a year after COVID, so she was there for me throughout the whole way.
I know you grew up a Red Sox fan, but what did it mean to get signed by a New York team? The fact that you are able to play here and try to get back to New York City.
To be very honest, I was a Red Sox fan growing up, but when I got into the recruiting process and stuff and like that signing stuff, every time I would be asked, I wanted to be a Met. I generally didn't think that it would ever like just be a thing, being that I wasn't really getting seen by them throughout my process. But when I got signed by New York, it was definitely a dream come true. So just being that I knew I was going to come back home, and it's been great. It's been a wonderful ride. I couldn't ask for anything else.
Yeah, and the fact that you are here, does it feel like home? I know the Coney Island's a long way from the Bronx, but at least it feels a little bit closer than Binghamton or Syracuse.
Yes, definitely. Like right now, I'm going back home.
Okay,
for sure. Go spend some time with the family, being that it was an early game, and being that I have my dad come to almost every game. My mom, when she's in town right now, she's out of town, which is unfortunate, but she tries to make it down to every game, and I've had support from my family and friends since I've been here. So it's definitely it's amazing, and it's something that I can't take for granted.
How much do you become kind of the team tour guide? being the local guy on this team with so many guys coming from all over?
A bit, yeah. I've showed some guys around, and any question that guys have, they usually come to me, and I'm here for it. And I'm here to just help my teammates in any way I can. And I have a good relationship with basically everybody, and I always try to. So it's definitely been wonderful, and I have that blessing to be able to be that type of guy for the guys. So
yeah, what is the biggest piece of advice you give to guys about living in New York?
About living in New York, you got to be patient with the traffic and a lot of road rage. Everybody has road rage, and definitely it's definitely a place to be though. Other than everything else, it's the city that never sleeps. And we definitely have, like, even just the fans that we have here, like, everybody's engaged and everybody's all in. So this is definitely a place to be and just enjoy while you're here.
You got any Dominican restaurants you're pointing everybody to, either here or in the Bronx?
Not yet. Usually guys already have it. But if they have questions, they could definitely come to me.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, for sure.
That's great. And you just go back to your athleticism you were talking about before. How do you maintain that? Because, scouts think you can be above average plus runner, but still a catcher. That's pretty rare.
Yeah, I try to hit every aspect of it. So whether it's catching, I'm more focused on catching first. That's definitely my primary position. But I always try to, if in BP, get some shagging in left. I try to get my ground balls whenever I can and just maintain my body ready. The preparation that I have before games, and just try to always just stretch my mobility and just do whatever I have to do to make sure that my body feels great.
And when you see guys like Dalton Varsho, who's made that transition from catcher to the outfield, you feel like the path is kind of set for you to follow in?
Yes, most definitely. And I just feel like if you can catch, everything probably becomes a little bit easier. I feel like just catching is the hardest part. So once you got that down pat, I think everything just comes along.
Yeah, great. All right, that's all I have. Thank you so much.
Raise the rudders! Raise the sails! Raise the sails!
Captain, an unidentified ship is approaching. Over.
Roger. Wait, is that an Enterprise sales solution?
Reach sales professionals, not professional sailors. With LinkedIn ads, you can target the right people by industry, job title, and more. Start converting your B2B audience today. Spend $250 on your first campaign and get a free $250 credit for the next one. Get started today at linkedin.com/campaign. Terms and conditions apply.
We interrupt this podcast to bring you another thrilling edition of Ghosts of the Miners. Now, here's your correspondent and host, Joshua Jackson.
Welcome back to Ghosts of the Miners, in which all of you out there in Radioland must identify the legitimate historical ball club or player hiding amidst the fraudulent pair. One once gave it their all 9 innings at a time. The others gave it their none, no innings at any time. In the last segment, I asked you which of the following minor league baseball teams did at one time exist. A. The Crescent City Counselors. B. The Plymouth Taxpayers. C. The Niagara Falls Citizens. You're a model constituent if you picked C. The Niagara Falls Citizens, who won a league championship in exactly 1 out of every 2 seasons of their existence. True, their existence totaled only 2 seasons, but you have to admire that ratio. The town of Niagara Falls, New York, had a minor league team back in 1908, but for much of the first half of the 20th century, the stream of thought connecting Niagara Falls and baseball was more than a bit bleaker. Hall of Famer Ed Delahanty, a 2-time batting champion who hit .410 for the 1899 Philadelphia Phillies, died in the middle of the 1903 season when he either went over the falls or drowned in the Niagara River after getting kicked off a train for allegedly, after consuming 5 whiskeys, brandishing a straight razor in a threatening manner. The circumstances of Delahanty's death have been the subject of wild rumors, rampant speculation, multiple songs, and at least 1 book. Save the 1908 Niagara Falls Club, which disbanded along with its whole league on July 31, the Burgh was without a minor league team until it had one for 2 seasons starting in 1939, then 2 more seasons starting in 1946. All of that was water over the falls, though, by the time the Citizens arrived in 1950. The Citizens moniker is apt for a team that was brought into being by the efforts of civic-minded Niagara Fallsians such as Police Justice Francis L. Giles, County Judge John S. March, and other, well, citizens of Niagara Falls. Playing in the Class C Middle Atlantic League, the first Citizens taxed themselves just to finish 6th out of 8 teams, although third baseman Henry DeJohnson did his part, earning an All-Star nod. The next year's Citizens were the finest kind, getting a Circuit Best 20 wins and a 2.48 ERA from Kenneth Yount as Frank Zeiss fanned Zizem Crow 153 batters. The Erie Sailors actually left Niagara Falls all wet in the regular season standings, but the Citizens had their say in the playoffs, winning the series 4-2. But the Citizens' gain coincided with a collective loss in the league. The Middle Atlantic League was in financial trouble all year, and by November it was clear it would not be around again come spring. And that's how Niagara Falls fell out. And now, folks, Ghost of the Miners is going on hiatus. We sure will miss you. In the meantime, feel free to revisit any of our 166 episodes.
Oh my God, the PTA has disbanded!
But for now, you'll have to excuse me. My producer Ben Hill is waving his hanky from the platform, and I've got to assure him my train isn't actually leaving the station.
Well, huge thanks not only to the Winston-Salem Dash, but also to Chris Suero for joining this week's episode of the show before the show. And that brings us to the final segment and everyone's favorite on this week's edition. It is time for Name That Dude. And I feel as though this week's dude will be somewhat easy, but it is submitted. We all got a submission from our friend Lynn Smith. We all got multiple submissions from our friend Lynn Smith for episodes of Name That Dude. And this week's dude comes from the 1988 MLB first-year player draft from a school out in your neck of the woods, you two, and he has roots elsewhere in your neck of the woods. He comes from Quinnipiac University in Hamden, Connecticut. Which I always thought was Quinnipiac, but evidently it's Quinnipiac. He was drafted in the 5th round of the 1988 June draft by the Atlanta Braves. He made his professional debut in 1988 with the then Pulaski Braves in Pulaski, Virginia, the rookie-level Appalachian League. 1989, he made a couple of stops at the Class A ranks. He was with the Durham Bulls, who were then an A-ball club in the Carolina League, and the Burlington Braves in Burlington, Iowa, who were in the Midwest League. Then he made the jump to Double-A with the Greenville Braves in the Southern League. Following year, 1990, he was back at Durham and at Greenville. And then in 1991, he reached AAA for the first time with the Richmond Braves. 1992, he was a member of the Chicago Cubs organization, and that is where he made his debut in 1993. He pitched for the Cubs. I said pitched. Pitched for the Cubs through 1997. He was traded in 1997 to the New York Mets. He spent 1997 to 2001 with the Mets. He was also with Ben Hill's Philadelphia Phillies, 2001. He was out with an injury in 2002. 2003, back with the Phillies, and here it ties us all together. He finished his career in 2004 with the Colorado Rockies, and that's where I'm going to leave it for now.
A pitcher, Braves, Mets.
Braves,
he never actually pitched for the Braves major league team.
He did not. Drafted by the Braves, broke in with the Cubs, Mets, Phillies, Rockies. A very Rockies finish to his career. 12 appearances, a 7.02 ERA, 12 walks to 11 strikeouts in 16 2/3 innings. You do not think of him as a Rocky in any way.
I don't know why. I just need to get this out of my system, and I don't think it's right. Steve Traxel.
No, he didn't. He did not pitch for the Phillies. No. I feel like I don't
know why my brain kept going there, but like that's
I should get a Philly from this era. I'm trying to think of Phillies from this era.
Total appearances with the Phillies over 2 years. He pitched in 77 games. which, man, that is a lot of usage. 49 games in 2001, 56 games in 2003 after he was injured for all of 2002.
In the bullpen. I'm trying to think of bullpen in the early.
I feel like
Turk Wendell.
It is Turk Wendell. I was gonna say, I feel as though the number on the back of his jersey might give it away. But another thing that I did not give away, he is from Pittsfield, Massachusetts. Sam Dykstra, which
is he really?
Assume is close. He went to Wakona
really.
Regional High School in Dalton, Mass. Wakona.
Wakona.
Like Wakona. Oh, Wakona.
No, it's Wakona. It's Wakona. We played Wakona. Did we play Wakona in basketball? They were part of the Western Mass contingent, but they were out near the Berkshires, as is Pittsfield, obviously. But yeah, I did not know he went to Wakona. That's funny.
One of two big leaguers from Wakona High School, along with Jeff Reardon, a four-time Major League All-Star who was also born in Pittsfield, Massachusetts. And now you know. Now you know. Turk Wendell, who rocked the number 99 on the back of his jersey. The number 99 or the number 13 throughout the entirety of his big league career. And now you know. Turk Wendell. Big thanks to Lynn Smith for getting in touch with that man, that dude, for this edition of Name That Dude.
Yeah, an eccentric guy. I wish I remembered.
Weird. He was a weird cat.
He was always like jumping over the foul lines and brushing his teeth in the dugout. He had one of those real.
He was one of those like.
I'm sorry.
Cliche...
Is dental hygiene weird to you people?
It is to me.
Like, very cliche, quirky '90s relievers. When you thought of like weird, like for me, and maybe to an extent for Sam as well, but Curtis Laskanik was always that guy.
Yeah.
When I was a kid, shaved his arm because he thought like a swimmer, it would give him some extra velocity on his fastball. Like, yeah, just those weird like movie character reliever guys. Yeah. Turk Wendell, fun one. I always thought it was Turk Wendell until I learned the proper pronunciation. But either way, that's our dude on this week's episode of Name That Dude. And that's going to do it for this week's episode of the Show Before the Show. A jam-packed episode, and we thank all of you, of course, for tuning in throughout. For Sam Dykstra, Benjamin Hill, Josh Jackson, and all the rest, my name is Tyler Maun, and we will catch you next week.